My husband almost died. He had a heart attack and quadruple bypass open heart surgery. Then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And then we were told we don't have kids. We couldn't get pregnant. And we were told we probably couldn't get pregnant naturally. And so we stopped trying, grieved that, got pregnant, miscarried. Then 3 weeks after the miscarriage, my father-in-law suddenly died after a 3-week battle with cancer. And then 3 months later, still the height of the pandemic, no vaccines yet, my mother died after a 3-week battle with cancer. And then my dad died the same year as my mom in the same week, but a year apart. So the first book came out in June 2022, a few months after my dad died, and became a bestseller. I was depleted. I mean, holding space for people's stories of overcoming challenges while navigating some of the most traumatic losses I'm ever going to experience.
Yep. Welcome to the Life with Grief podcast. I'm your host, grief and soul purpose coach and fellow griever, Tara Accardo. Blair, welcome to the Life with Grief podcast, my friend. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a hot minute, so I am so excited to dig into this with you.
I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, let's just get right on into it because there's a lot we can cover here today. And you have such a story, but such a story not only of loss, but like what you have created from it and the community you have built and just the way that you are empowering and impacting people's lives is like one of the most beautiful things I've seen since I have started working in this space. So I truly, truly mean that. So let's just start kind of at square one here. And I love to have guests just tell everyone a little bit about themselves. We'll get to the grief and the loss, but fun facts, things about you, things that people might not know otherwise.
Oh, fun facts. Well, I love going to live concerts. It's like my most favorite thing to do.
Love that.
We also, my husband and I have a home, like a trailer parked at a lake in the forest.
Amazing.
That's my happy place. I love being off the grid and in the rainforest on a beach.
So cool.
So good.
So grounding. I love that.
So grounding, and it's like something I teach, using your brain using nature to rewire your brain,
Yep.
I guess, and using your brain.
Both are helpful.
I literally practice. Yeah, I practice what I preach. And then another fun fact. So I'm Jewish, and my Hebrew name is Bela Dina.
That's beautiful.
And I'm named after my great grandma Bella and my great aunt Dora. So their Hebrew names are Bela Dina, and so my English name is Blair Dana, but it was gonna be Brooke.
Okay.
And then my mom was watching The Facts of Life and saw that there was like an actress who was like tall, rich, blonde, and beautiful named Blair, and she's like, "That's better."
Oh, that's amazing. Also,
And it's
also
funny, right?
beautiful names. Like, oh yeah, so fitting.
And like the theme song for that show, you take the good, you
yeah.
take the bad, you put them together. There you have The Facts of
Oh my
Life. I'm like,
God.
oh, like you just set me
Well,
up, didn't you?
how relevant to what you do and what you have been through, isn't it? Yeah, wow, the irony of that is not lost on me because literally, like, what does grief do if not really humble us in like what is life and
What is
what
life,
is yeah,
right?
just to get really existential for a moment.
Yeah.
And how we cope with difficulties, losses, etc. that we go through. So
Yeah.
perfect segue into you telling us about your story with grief and loss, whatever you are comfortable sharing as always.
Right. So it's a pretty big one. And since we only have a certain amount of time, I'm going to just kind of do a high level overview.
Sure.
I'm the daughter of a man who lived with a drug addiction and a child of divorce. I was very close with my dad. And when I was 7, my dad left our family because of his drug addiction.
Okay.
And he was then in and out of my life. No one told me he was unwell. I thought he stopped loving me. So I grew up with a lot of grief, anger, pain, abandonment issues. The community I grew up in, like no one else had a similar situation. So it was very isolating. And I didn't really understand what was happening because I was a kid.
Yeah.
In my 20s, I was given the tools I needed to forgive him.
Mhm.
And he and I had a beautiful conversation, and then he began his journey towards sobriety, and we developed a beautiful relationship. And I started to get to know him and understood that he loved me that entire time when I thought he stopped loving me,
Mhm.
and that he was unwell. And I learned a lot of things about him, the good and the bad, the facts of life,
Yeah.
you know? Jeez. But so, anyways, at the end of 2018, we learned he was terminally ill. He had COPD and lung cancer.
Okay.
Turns out smoking crack is very bad for your lungs,
Mm.
just so you know, in
Mhm.
case you didn't.
Mhm.
So, anyways, he was dying, and I was like very rocked. And so I did what you're not supposed to do, and it was airing out my dirty laundry, letting those skeletons out of the closet. And I started to share our story of his addiction, my forgiveness, and our resilience to anyone that would listen. I just like, I couldn't help
Yeah.
myself. And what was happening was that people were then, letting me know your story inspired me to fix a relationship with my parent before they die.
Mm.
Your story inspired me to get a therapist. Your story inspired me to choose sobriety. And people were then sharing their stories with me
Yeah.
and then saying, I've never shared that before. I don't know why I'm sharing that with you.
Mhm.
In fact, today I had a call with someone who shared a story and she started crying. She's like, I'm sorry. I don't know where these are. This, like, I don't know why I'm crying. I'm like, well, I've created a safe space. You can cry.
Yeah.
She's like, this is like, I'm letting some feelings, like,
Aw.
it just naturally happens with me.
Yeah.
And so I said, Dad, we have something special. What if we write a book and we gather stories of resilience from around the world? And we start the book with your story and we end it with my story. And so when you're no longer here, we can still help
Oh, the
people.
chills that I have right now, Blair. Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah. And so the Global Resilience
Yeah.
Project started in March 2019. And the goal was to publish an anthology. Um, it took 3.5 years to get the first book out because a lot of terrible things happened, including like my grandfather, who was like my dad, died. And on the way home from his funeral, my husband and I got in a car accident on the highway and I got a concussion.
Oh my god.
A few months later, my husband almost died. He had a heart attack and quadruple open heart surgery, quadruple bypass open heart surgery. And then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And then we were told we don't have kids. We couldn't get pregnant. And we were told we probably couldn't get pregnant naturally. And so we stopped trying, grieved that, got pregnant, miscarried. And then 3 weeks after the miscarriage, my father in law suddenly died after a 3 week battle with cancer. And then 3 months later, still the height of the pandemic, no vaccines yet, my mother died after a 3 week battle with cancer. And then my dad died the same year as my mom in the same week, but a year apart. So the first book came out in June 2022, a few months after my dad died,
Mhm.
and became a bestseller. I was depleted. I mean, holding space for people's stories of overcoming challenges while navigating some of the most traumatic losses I'm ever going to
Yep.
experience and the ways they happened.
Yep.
I didn't know what was like gonna happen because the goal was just to write a book. But what happened was over those 3 years, I ended up starting this global community, this movement that became a social enterprise, and we have a podcast and a clothing line, and I became a motivational speaker and a writer, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. If I was gonna do any more books, and then a few months after the book came out, my mom came to me in a dream and she told me how proud she was of me, and I was getting ready to publish the second book, and so I woke up feeling like inspired. I was like, let's do it. So published another book, and then that book came out and everyone's like, how do I get in your next book? And then I put out another book.
Yep.
And so yeah, like long and short of it, I'm, a motivational speaker, a writer, the founder of the Global Resilience Project, a grief and resilience expert and coach.
Blair, where do we start unpacking all of this?
Right? I don't know. Where do you want to start? You lead this ship.
My gosh. Okay. As you were talking, there's several parts of your losses I would love to hit on in a respectful way. Where I would
Yeah.
love to start, because what really hit for me And this is actually the reason I kind of want to start here is because this is coming up a lot in my orbit lately, through some personal life experience, but also clients that I'm working with right now. In that they have a family member, someone close to them, struggling with addiction and
Mm.
or mental health. The relationship is at the very least strained or non-existent, or there was some degree of very similar to your story,
Mhm.
truthfully, uh, in different contexts. But what really struck me when you were talking is you said in your 20s, I think it was, that you like learned or kind of discovered ways to like to cope and forgive. Can you just walk us through that a little? I'm sure there's a lot to dig into there too. But I guess what I'm
Yeah.
wondering specifically is like, let's say there's someone here listening, right, who's maybe struggling with forgiveness for the person that, for lack of a better term, has inflicted this upon them or their family, and or forgiveness, because there's someone I have in mind in my life right now who's um their parent has died, and they had that strained relationship, and is lacking closure now because they have passed and they can't kind of go back and heal that and work through that with them. They don't have that luxury. Yeah. So like what helped you? What would you say to that person as sort of like a coping tool, if you will?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple things, and I think every situation is completely
Sure.
different, and I think forgiveness can mean something different to
Of
everyone.
course. Yeah.
For me, the burden of anger and disappointment and like abandonment, like that burden I was carrying just became too heavy.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have it anymore. I also learned that my dad was going through all of these things and I let it project onto me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, what I wish I would have known, like before I forgave him, like years ahead, where that like was that he was living in addiction and it's a mental health challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you look at someone with cancer or diabetes, depression, like you look at them, with compassion.
Yeah.
Addiction is the same, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a mental health challenge. Like, yeah, someone, I mean, everyone's situation's different. Like, no one, forced my dad to try cocaine for the first time, but he also didn't know he was going to become addicted to it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right. And, there's a couple things. I think you need to know that forgiveness isn't the same as acceptance.
Mhm. Beautifully said.
Um,
Yeah.
like I've had people come to me and be like, my dad did some pretty horrible things. Like I can't forgive him. I'm like, well, what does forgiveness look like?
Yeah.
Because anger is heavy
Very.
and
Yeah.
it wreaks havoc in your nervous system. And like, I wasn't looking to solve that problem that day that I was given those tools. I was just sitting in like the landmark forum because my work sent me there.
Mhm.
Personal development thing. Like I didn't care. I didn't go because I wanted to. I wanted a free trip to Vancouver to like party with my friends, and I had to sit through this 3 day like personal development thing. Like I literally was sitting through it because I had to for work, and
Yeah.
something clicked. The tools I needed. I can't even give you those exact
Wow. Yeah,
tools.
yeah, sure.
I've listened, I know, like just because I can't remember them, and I remember listening to a podcast about Landmark being compared to a cult, and they said something in it where I was like, that might have been it. That was like the click. But I think one, decide like are you ready? Like, what is forgiveness to you? And are you ready to put down the heaviness of the anger that you carry?
Yep.
And because you're forgiving that person, it doesn't mean their behavior is acceptable or okay.
Mhm.
You are coming to a place of peace.
Yeah.
And our job isn't to fix other people, like, Mel Robbins' let them theory, right? Like, we are in charge of us.
Yep.
And so the day I forgave my dad, I basically said to him, like, listen, I am sorry for ever hating you and wanting you to die,
Mm.
which is like, I hate him. I hated him. He hurt me so much, like, not
Sure,
physically,
sure.
like, you know, He never physically touched me. He just like, I'll come to your birthday party and not show up. I'll come
Oh,
pick you up for dinner, not showing up. Like a lot of things like that happened, and I saw a lot of things I probably shouldn't have seen as a little girl.
mm,
Um, and so I said to him, I'm just going to accept you for who you are.
mhm,
I love you no matter what. And I want to accept whatever relationship you can give me, whether it's like one phone call or text a week or whatever it might be.
mhm.
And we started talking almost every day.
Oh,
So I didn't ask him to change. All I wanted my whole life was for him to change.
yeah,
But as soon as I had that conversation of acceptance, I was just like, I'm sorry. Like, I forgive you for like the way you were and
yeah.
like, like the way things were. So for me, that's my journey.
Mhm.
And like there's no manual on how to forgive.
Yeah, not at all.
I can tell you that I decided after I learned my dad was going to die that I needed to choose sobriety for my own mental health.
Mhm.
And like I was very similar to my dad and it scared me.
Yeah.
And I woke up January 1st, 2019, my first day of sobriety, to an apology letter from him,
Wow.
apologizing for his addiction and for like crushing my heart,
Oh
basically.
my gosh.
And I know I'm lucky to have that letter.
Mhm,
And not everyone is lucky enough to have a conversation or to share their feelings or, to get something back.
mhm.
But there are other ways to make peace with it. And without being in conversation with your friend that is going through that, it's really hard to give them advice. But I think starting off by
Yeah.
writing that letter, this is everything I felt, and this is what I'm willing to forgive and accept.
Mhm. That's so beautiful. Because grief and that anger and resentment of other people's actions, or almost even worse yet, ourselves, and like the things that those coulda, woulda, shouldas, those what ifs, those are things that keep grieving people up at night. It's the
Yeah.
absence, of course, for sure, like in those early days, but like, or even not just early days, but what I have found, what really eats away at us are those things that we wish we could have done differently, those coulda, woulda, shouldas, the as you nailed it, really, the anger, the resentment, the things that we wish we could change, and it's like, for me, that has been one of the biggest lessons in my own grieving experience, almost actually not anything related to my parents, it's just my expectations of myself and of others and of the world that we live in, and it's the most humbling teacher, when we realize what is within our control and what is out of our control. And
Right.
there's a
And
lot
I
out of
think
our
like
control.
there is. And I think part of the other thing is like the community I was raised in, like every family has like problems,
Yeah, yeah.
different scale. So like I never saw like I was one of the only kids with divorced parents
Mhm.
in the beginning, but also I was a TV kid because my mom worked a job and a half to
Yeah.
give us a certain life. And so I grew up on like Family Matters and
Mhm.
Full House, all these shows with like these parents.
Complete families, so to speak, like
Well, like minus Danny
yeah, I was
Tanner's
gonna
wife
say
dump.
minus
But like like I grew up with like all this like fake idea of what my family should look like, and that's kind of what I went off of because
yeah.
that's what I knew.
Yep.
And
Ugh,
no family is perfect, and behind closed doors, there's all sorts of skeletons.
yeah.
But like, what are we like the individual in control of? Is that setting some boundaries? Is that having a conversation?
Mhm.
Is it removing someone? Is it welcoming someone back in? Like,
Right.
we have to control what we can control.
Exactly. Yep. I
Yeah.
say that all the time, and it's empowering. It gives us, not that it's all about, like, control in, like, a type A kind of way, but, like, grief rocks every sense of control that, and we're human beings, right? We're ego,
Yeah.
individuals, and there's stuff there that we have to kinda deal with, and we uh, I think when we can have some semblance of, like, stability in a time that can feel very unstable and very kinda scary and just, like, not in our control, like, that, we
Right.
we have to tap into that and find that and like what that looks like for us and how that, manifests itself now,
Yeah.
which is, perhaps different than what it was before we've been through law, or we don't you don't know what you don't know until you go through it, right? I say that all the
Yeah.
time. In my own, grief experience. I wanted to kind of move to because what also really struck me is that you and your husband have lost two parental figures in 3-week battles. For lack of a better, I actually kind of hate the word battle, so I'm going to use something different. And 3-week experiences, if you will, with both were cancer. Can you just elaborate? I mean, again, no need to share crazy details here,
Yeah.
but, like, can you? Because I know there are people here listening that have lost loved ones very quickly, if not literally, like, in a moment, like, a literal moment and within the same day,
Yeah.
or a very, very short cancer journey, and, like, with my parents, I mean, my dad had cancer for, like, 5 or 6 years before he died, but his decline was, quote, "faster." My mom's was maybe, like, 8 months or so from diagnosis to passing, so it's kind of all in the eye of the beholder of, like, what fast looks like, but, like, to me, that sounds fast, right? You barely have time to process what is going on, or you might think you have more time,
Mm.
and then you don't, and these are your North Stars, right? These are your
Yeah.
parent figures, so how did you guys navigate that individually? And also, I'm curious as a couple too.
Yeah, it was really complicated because so Shane and I were Canadian.
Mhm.
We were living in a place called Pemberton, which is near Whistler, BC.
Okay.
And his mom and dad are in Kamloops, which is a 3.5 hour drive. And my parents are in Winnipeg, which is
Opposite direction,
at the
I'm
time,
guessing?
yeah,
Ugh,
like the middle of Canada. So
okay,
like a flight.
okay.
And so we were camping. So it was still the pandemic, but like the rules kind of lifted. So Shane and I went camping with my in-laws.
Mhm.
And, like, Dave's back was in pain, and they thought maybe he slipped a disc, and he was just in a lot of pain, like, suffering, and, like, eventually he, like, went to the hospital a few times. They kept missing things, I think, and then I think he had a stroke and they found cancer. I can't remember what
Oh
happened
my god.
because they learned about his cancer the day we learned about his cancer. Okay, the day we learned about his cancer was the day I had a miscarriage. Yes,
Stop
that was
it.
right. Yeah, so
Oh,
we
oh my gosh.
Shane's mom called me and was like, um, yeah, Dave has cancer. Maybe you can tell Shane because I don't want to bother him at work. And then like my dad called me 10 minutes later. He's like, I'm being evicted. And then an hour later, I was having a miscarriage at the hospital.
What?
It was just a lot. And then I had to tell Shane like, hey, we lost the baby and your dad has cancer. Okay, so, and then 3 weeks later, Dave died. And it was very terrible because the rules at the time, Dave was only allowed to have two visitors, one at a time. And it was either my mother in law or my sister in law
Yeah.
because Shane didn't live there. So Shane didn't get to see his dad at all. And the day he died, they were actually putting him in an ambulance to take him to a different hospital to start chemo. And so Shane and his mom were already like 2 hours away from the hospital at the other hospital because we live in small cities. And they're like, you need to turn around. Like, we're calling the family in. So Shane had like 10 seconds with his dad.
Oh my
His
god.
dad held on. And like this whole time, I'm like still dealing with the miscarriage and I'm in a different city.
Yeah.
I'm like 3.5 hours away. So I was alone. Shane never really got to say a proper goodbye or spend time with him. And so this is now end of November. And then end of January, I'm bad at dates. My
Okay.
mom died February 23rd. So like right at the beginning of Feb. My mom wasn't feeling good when this all happened and I didn't know because my sister and my mom didn't want to tell me because miscarriage and Dave dying. But I guess like like she was going for tests after tests and they kept missing things and eventually like she just was not feeling good. And I would say to her like, "Mom, you're looking kind of gray." She's like, "Ah, it's just the lighting." And she was a dental hygienist. And so, anyways, 3 weeks before she died, she was still cleaning teeth. Like, literally, like, I actually ran into someone who's seen her for decades. And she was just like, I actually, like, saw her the day before she went in the hospital. Or I saw her before, like, on her last day at work. And, like, when I heard she died, I just, like, didn't understand. I'm like, yeah, I don't
It's
understand either.
insane how things can turn so quickly. I'll never
Yeah.
get over
So
it.
she was going, yeah. So she was going for all these tests and, like, basically we got told, okay, you have cancer. You need to get a biopsy before we can treat it. So we don't know what kind of cancer it is. But you're 62, you're young, you're healthy, like you're gonna be okay. And then she was having trouble like with her like lungs and breathing, and she went to the hospital, and that she messaged me and she's like, you need to come in and help. I'm like, no problem. They shouldn't have let her out of the hospital, but selfishly, I'm glad they did. So she was in the hospital, and like a tumor was pressing on her lungs, and like, anyways, they let her out of the hospital. I'm like, she looked dead. Like she didn't look alive. Like she was like gray, couldn't eat, like not. She did not look
They let
well.
her out of
Like
the
almost to the
hospital that
point.
way?
Yeah, and so I even called my mom's friend who's a nurse. I'm like, can you look at my mom? My mom was like just lying on her bed. I'm like, she doesn't look okay at all. And like, yeah, it's like we kind of
I'm, like, in
knew.
shock right
So,
now.
anyways,
Oh my god.
finally, my mom's pain meds stopped working. And so, like, she'd be like, okay, we need to go back to the hospital. And I'd pack everything. She's like, no, I don't want to go. So, we made an
Oh,
appointment. We took her to her doctor. Her doctor's like, you need to go back to that hospital so you can get like another evaluation and you need fentanyl, like things, I don't know.
yeah,
And she couldn't even get in the car with me. Like I had to put her in an ambulance. And I looked at her and I knew it was like I knew that was like she wasn't coming out. Like I just knew.
yeah.
And so I got a call from the doctor, like the ER doctor. Basically, your mom's body is covered in tumors. She has 2 weeks left to live. And I chatted with her, and it was just very much like, here's where the paperwork is, this, that. Like, Blair, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm like, you don't need to hold on. Like, don't hold on. We don't need you to suffer.
Yeah.
Just let go. And so she, yeah, went in the hospital. They said you're covered in tumors. We don't know what type, like we can't officially diagnose you with the type of cancer, but it's pancreatic.
Oh,
The day that she was supposed to have her biopsy, the day she was actually, she died the day before she was supposed to have her biopsy because she died 3 days later.
oh my god. Such a fast turnaround.
So I think part of that was like my mom just like succumbing, like, okay, like I'm in pain, I gotta let go.
Mhm.
Like we didn't want her suffering. She was in so much pain.
Mm.
But it was very fast.
Oh my god. I'm so sorry.
And my dad was given a year and a half to 2 years left to live, and he lasted like 3.5 years. I'm like, the
Wow.
your insides, like
Yeah.
it was just all very
You're
crazy.
like, "Make it
So
make sense."
yeah, it didn't. And then it's like so then my mom dies, and my dad's like, so I'm the parent now. I'm like, oh
You're like,
God, yes, you're
"Jesus
the
Lord."
parent.
Okay.
It was just like it shocked. It was very shocking to everyone.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, 3 weeks. I mean, Dave, I couldn't say goodbye to. Shane couldn't even really spend time with him.
Right.
My mom, luckily, I was in Winnipeg and able to be there to hold her.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think it was 2:55 a.m. She took her last breath, and me and my sister and my uncle and aunt were holding her, and
Oh
it was very peaceful. Like she rolled her head over and let out one final
oh
tear.
my gosh, stop.
It was a very beautiful exit.
That's so poetic, dare I say? Like, but
Yeah, it was, like, very
yeah,
intense.
oh, yeah, I mean, yeah,
It was very intense. It was like, yeah,
yeah.
it was
I was
I
with my
don't
mom when she died too, and it was, yeah, intense is
it's
one
just,
word to
like
describe it.
yeah, and, like, so then, like so now it's like, okay, so both my parents are dead. I'm, like, not even 40. Like, this happened
Yep,
3, 4 years ago, right? My dad 3 years ago, my mom 4 years ago. Now I'm gonna be 40 in the summer, but it was, like, this untethering of, like
yeah,
I explain it like, we come from our parents' umbilical cord and they cut it, where like then when our mom dies, it's like this other umbilical cord is cut
oh,
and
yeah,
it's very disorienting.
yep.
And not having parents, it's like I feel like Lord of the Flies, like anything's possible.
Yes.
Really, my life is Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, well, geez, yeah, no kidding. Um,
So,
I empathize with that more than you know. Yeah, it's, yeah, disorienting is a very good word for it. I
yeah.
remember the morning my dad died too, because I say this, I've said this multiple times on the podcast. We're mourning our mom, we're mourning our dad, we're mourning our family unit, whatever that looks like. Obviously, your parents divorced, had
Yeah.
divorced a long time ago, but still, there's an element of just the entire family unit that has changed. We're mourning and now having to navigate countless other milestones, big moments, and also just the small day-to-day things that we wish we could go to them for. It's it's endless. It's literally endless, and this is what, that very cliche grief has no timeline, but, like, you know, you never depending on the relationship with the parent, but, like, I still even so, to some degree that might look different for each one of us, we, like, always need our parent, like, at least knowing that we could resolve things with them if the relationship is not maybe 100%, or, at least that's within if they're alive, something about that still feels like it's within your power, or if you have a beautiful relationship with your parent and they're your best friend, you have your best friend here. And then they leave the physical world, and yeah, what you said about the umbilical cord, I mean, I feel that very much. And now it's like this weird spiritual umbilical cord that I've personally tried to tap into in the last basically since they died, and trying to
Yeah.
figure that out, but it's never the same, and it's not to make up for them not physically being here. Nothing's ever gonna make that better. That's just always gonna suck. Let's just call a spade a spade.
It's
Um,
just terrible.
yeah, it's
Like, it's just a very shitty
yeah.
experience.
Can you talk to me a little bit about, and again, I want to be super, super sensitive here, but just because you mentioned, and it's, for those who are not watching on video, I had my head in my hands when you were mentioning that you had also a miscarriage amidst all of this, quite literally on the same day that some
Yeah.
of this was happening. So, can you, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, because I know there are people here that have
Mhm.
experienced pregnancy loss, are maybe going through some infertility right now, struggling with that. Can you just touch on that little bit of your experience, where your mind was at, anything that helped you, for lack of a better term, kind of come to some resignation that that is perhaps not your journey, and like just how you and your husband have navigated that?
So I thought I'd be a wine drinking soccer mom by now, but now I'm a childless, parentless, sober bird watcher. Um, so that's like the summary. But so
Oh,
I like we were trying to get pregnant for a
yeah.
while, like years. We had to take a break when he had his heart attack. Like
Which
it was very
I'd
hard
also
to be
like to come
intimate.
back to, but yeah. Mhm.
So anyways, he went for tests, I went for tests, and like the pandemic happened, and they're like, okay, like you need to go for more tests. And where we lived was a small like village, like a town, and like Vancouver, like 3.5 hours or 3 hours away were the tests, but it was the pandemic, so no one was testing fertility. Like, do you remember the early days of the pandemic? Like people were banging on pans and like scared everyone was gonna
No,
die, right?
literally.
So
My dad was in hospice during the pandemic. I mean, it was very similar kind of to your experience, same
yeah,
but different, just in terms of being
yeah.
able to even get in to see someone, and they weren't prioritizing anything that wasn't COVID, so
Yeah, like, so they weren't gonna be like, "Blair, you're fertile." So
right,
anyways,
exactly.
so Shane and I talked about it because even if like we talked about it, like, okay, like we don't live near a place, it could be really expensive. I do know like maybe an inheritance from my dad, like he had a small insurance policy could help fund that. Like we
Mhm.
just were like, you know what, let's just like take a break.
Yeah.
So we took a break, and then got pregnant. And so I already like came to the conclusion like I'm not having kids, and I mourned the idea of being a mom.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was sad, but like I wasn't like crushed.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
just like, well, then maybe it's not for me. And like also Shane was still just recovering from a heart attack.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
when we got pregnant, it's like it reopened all these feelings of hope
Yeah.
and the things I wanted. And telling my mom I was pregnant was like such a delight and such a gift. And she was so excited. All she wanted to do was be a baba,
Mhm.
you know, Baba Sharon. And like
Mhm.
we just like I pictured going to like Mexico on vacation with Baba Sharon and like hanging, like basically, like my mom was a huge part of that journey with me.
Yeah.
And my mom's mom lived to be in her 90s. And her diet was chicken fingers and Chinese food and used to smoke like a chimney. So in my head, I wasn't like, when my mom dies, like I just like wasn't thinking of it.
Yeah.
And so I never was like, oh, I might miscarry because I was like, no, I've already gone through too much. Like my dad is dying, my husband almost died. I, like struggled to get pregnant, got pregnant. Like there's no way I'm going to miscarry. And I never even thought of it. And some people were like, you shouldn't talk about it. You might miscarry. I was like, well, I'm going to talk about it in case I do miscarry because I want to talk about being pregnant. Like this might be the
Right.
only time. And also like,
Oh my
why,
god.
like, I didn't even think of it. Like, I didn't even think like, oh, I might miscarry.
Yeah.
So I miscarried at 8 weeks. I started spotting and I was just like worried. And Shane was with his dad who was sick. And I was just like, I'm spotting. He's like, you're gonna be fine. I'm like, it's like it didn't feel right.
Women, we know,
And then
we know things.
yeah. So like when the miscarriage happened, it was like obviously really devastating and like very like it was like re-putting like it was just like it was a very complicated day. Like I learned my father-in-law was
To say
sick.
the absolute least, yes.
Like neither my father-in-law or my mom were told they were terminal. Like so it
Right.
was just anyways. It was so I was like, okay, like although I'm devastated, I can get pregnant.
Yeah.
Um, so let's try again. And then Dave died. And Shane's like, I don't think we should have kids. Like, my dad isn't here. I'm like, oh, but we have my mom and your mom.
Mm.
Like, it's fine. And so, fast forward a few months when I learned my mom was going to die, literally the idea of being a mom died with her and never came
Mm.
back.
Yeah.
And like, my period, my everything was messed up because of like my nervous system was shot and my hormones and like from all the grief and the physical trauma from all that. Like, everything was
Yep.
messed up in my body and but like so my period was like off and like if it was late instead of getting excited like before I would like panic. I'm like I can't do this. I used all of my big feelings up
Of course.
and like I'm not glad that I miscarried, but I'm glad that I wasn't pregnant while navigating all of that.
Yeah.
Like it would have been a lot of womb trauma. So
Yeah.
I waited a year and the feeling of being a mom, like wanting to be a mom never came back.
Mhm.
And it's interesting, like in the hindsight, because like I waited a year and then that's like when my dad died. And I was doing some healing, but like basically I was like, okay, I need to put an IUD in
Yeah.
because I don't think this lifetime is meant for me to have my own children. I'm here to do different work that requires me to have more like
Yep.
more freedom.
Yep.
I am going to show up and be the best aunt to all my friends' kids, my family's kids.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be a mother in a different way and I can be a mother to many. And like Shane didn't want to be an old dad. He's 9 years older than me and like we're both kind of older.
Yeah.
And like also I was like, okay, my husband's type 1 diabetic. He has a bad heart. My mom and dad are dead. His dad's dead. His mom's older. I was like, I just like if I get pregnant with an IUD, then it's a miracle baby.
Yes. And then maybe it's
I'll
both
keep it like,
maybe that's the deal,
right?
but, like,
And it's interesting. So yeah, so I put the IUD in and like I was having some other issues and I learned that I had endometriosis, which I
oh, okay,
think
yeah,
is part of the reason I had so much trouble with fertility.
sure.
Um, which is fascinating to me because like I wish I would have known 20 years ago because like now I'm able to manage it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean like there's a lot of layers of grief and in a way it's like this grief relief combo. Like
Mhm.
I realized like a lot of part of being a mom was tied into my mom wanting to be a grandma
Yeah.
and in hindsight and like yeah, like this lifetime wasn't an easy one for me. It hasn't been.
Yeah.
And I just don't think like I was brought into a really beautiful family and I had a really great support network. But if I were, even through my parents' divorce, my dad's drug addiction, I had a lot of support
Yeah.
where I don't know if that would have been the same.
Mhm.
Oh, it wouldn't be the same because
You just know. Yeah,
my parents are gone. So
absolutely.
yeah, I don't know. Just yeah, I just decided like where are my like I've used a lot of big feelings up and it wouldn't be fair to me or a child and like I didn't 100% want one.
Yeah.
And if it's not 100%,
Especially with bringing a child into the world, which is not a small responsibility.
do you have a kid? Do you have
I
children?
do, I have one. She's, 14, almost 15 months right now.
Oh, 15
15
months.
months, yeah. So
Yeah.
she's a youngin', yeah, but we had a very traumatic birth experience. She almost died. Also was not something that was on my bingo card. Thought I had been through enough, with a couple dead parents, but, yeah, the universe or whatever higher powers that be were like, "That's cute. Let's just
Oh,
sprinkle another, test in there, so to speak." I'm very, 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 very grateful that she is happy and healthy and doing well, knocking on wood right now.
mhm.
I know that is not the journey for so many. All along the spectrum, right? Even just getting pregnant to begin with or losing a
Yeah.
child, which I know many people in the community that you and I are in are sadly
Yeah.
in that boat. So yeah, but loss has done nothing if not strengthen my gratitude muscle, so to speak, because And I always want to clarify this. It's not just sprinkling gratitude on things and approaching it with this like toxic positivity of like, well, people have it worse, so I should just be grateful. There's
Yeah.
no just be grateful. It's
No comparison. I think we're all on our own journey.
yes, yeah, but I'd be, remiss if I didn't say that like I keep using the word humbling today, but it is humbling to think about because I do know that life can be taken very quickly. It can end sooner than you think. My mom was also 62, far younger than I thought she'd be. Also, we're kind of similar in that way. She had a mom who's still very much alive, also smoked basically all of her life. Like she was the healthiest person in my family. How is it that everyone else, alcoholic uncle, all of these other people are outlived my mom? There's no sense to
There's no rhyme or reason.
no, there's no sense to be made of it. And that was a big reckoning I have continued to have with myself of like, there's not going to be an answer to this. There's, I'm not accepting it, but I am resigned to the fact that like, these are the facts of my life, of her life. Like she was, and my dad was taken from me before I thought they would be. And here I am now left to grieve and mourn that and navigate parenthood now without them too, which has brought up a whole new layer of grief that I won't even get
I
into.
can't even imagine. That's why I was like, I'm tapping
I
out.
don't blame you. I'm so thankful that you said everything that you just said and we're so honest about that because I talk to so many people that the things that they go through alter wanting to even get married, to have kids,
Yeah.
whatever these life events are that just it loss just makes us reexamine all of those things. And it's a painful and difficult journey, but the way that you just described it is so perfect. Like it can be a very enlightening journey, almost a bit of a release in a way. Or what did you say earlier? You said grief and
I don't know.
relief or
It comes in my brain and out
oh
my
my god.
mouth.
Well, whatever it was, it struck me because I was like, that's very relatable. Um,
Yeah.
I want to I want to get into a little bit. You've already kind of walked us through all of these beautiful things you've created. I just wanted to touch on really quick because I don't, and also this car accident that you were in. I mean, there's so many things we can talk about here. What I just wanted to kind of finish up talking about was, I mean, also how horrifying to have a partner go through a health crisis like that. Um, again, whatever you're comfortable speaking on, can you just walk me through that a little bit, and also kind of just more overarching, like how has all of this, all of these incredibly
Mhm.
major losses, how has it impacted you both as a couple and your marriage? Because, loss, there's a lot of gray area with it in terms of what it can do to a relationship. My husband and I have also
Mhm.
been there, but it can quote make or break people and make or break certain relationships. So how have you how have you navigated all of that?
Yeah, so Shane is type 1 diabetic.
Mhm,
So with that comes various health challenges.
mhm,
I never really thought about the potential of a heart attack.
mhm.
So when it happened, he was in his early 40s and it wasn't like a widowmaker. Like he just like progressively started to feel bad and then for like a week and a half he just really didn't feel good
Mhm.
and like didn't look good. Like he just things were off and I got him
Wow.
to a doctor. Like we think you're having a heart attack and then rushed him to a bigger hospital and they're like we think you're having a heart attack and then anyways cuz he was young and strong
Right.
and they basically like I think one of his arteries was 90% blocked, two were 100%, one was 70%,
Oh
like a
my
lot. It
god.
was a big smash of those. So like he was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and this hospital was like 3 hours from where we lived. And so he was in the hospital for 2 weeks waiting for the surgery, which was good because people kept coming in that were more serious than him. So it was like, okay, like if it was life threatening, they would have dealt with it
Right.
sooner. And then a week of recovery
Mhm.
in the hospital. It was hard because like we didn't live there, so like I was just like staying at friends' houses and families' houses and hotels and whatnot. It was really like an eye opener, and I thought like, okay, Shane almost dying brought me back to life, and really was just thinking about the work I do
Um,
and how I spend my time
yeah.
in this world, and then the like pandemic happened. Like it's just like things just kept happening right after each other. So that the our marriage was really good like our relationship, like we've been together 14 years, was really good. And we had a really good foundation going into the heart attack and like the miscarriage.
Mhm.
But like having to tell my husband that his dad is sick while we're losing the baby, um, I think was like that was where there was like a seismic shift in our relationship because we were going through war and
Yeah.
losing limbs. And it was very hard.
Mm.
I mean, we did our best to be there for each other and it was very hard. But like needless to say, it was very lonely for me. Like when my mom died, I asked him to come be with me, and because he's type 1 diabetic and has a bad heart, he's like high risk, so he didn't come.
Mhm.
So like I navigated my mom dying without the support of him. Like I've never been like I need you, and I was like I need you. It
Yeah,
was
like,
like
this is dire. So, like, I'm not.
literally. But like yeah. So and like that was like, the part of the pandemic where people wouldn't even hug me.
Yeah.
Like people wouldn't hug.
Yep, yep.
So, and then like we moved to be closer to his mom.
Mhm.
And like, so I'm selling my mom's house where she is. We're selling our house. So I'm like, everywhere that I have a support network, we're leaving to be close to his mom where I don't really have a support network.
Mhm.
So I built up a lot of like anger and resentment, like for many different things. And like our marriage almost didn't make it. Like I thought it was going to end. And so I was just, yeah, like I was just trying to feel my feelings and heal. And I ended up opening a children's center for at-risk youth in Ghana and like traveled to Uganda to try to track gorillas
Why are
in
you
the
a
jungle.
superwoman
And I
though?
traveled.
Like, oh my God.
So,
Unreal.
like, while I was gone, I was like pretty sure my marriage was
Are
gonna
you
end. So I was
joking?
like, I'm gonna spend all my money, and I did.
Oh my God.
But yeah, and like, I mean, I like, I knew what was possible because we had a good foundation, and so we like got counseling and we worked on it, and
Yeah,
like, it wasn't so simple as like one session and we're better,
of
and
course, yeah.
but like things, aren't a like things got better, and like we both have to want it,
Yeah.
and we yeah, so it was really hard on us. Like I was ready to leave him. My counselor was like, "You," like our therapist was like, "Shane Blair is ready to leave you. Like things need to change."
Yeah.
And we worked on it. And I mean, I don't, I don't have a crystal
Yeah.
ball. I can tell you that we just went through a devastating loss. I shared with you off camera.
Mhm.
Our 2.5-year-old cat that I got to help me heal my heart after my parents died, who I named after my mom, suddenly died this weekend. Like had a really bad medical issue happen suddenly, and like we had to put him down, and it was so traumatic. And the way that we're navigating this loss and grief together is like the support that I wish I had with my other losses,
Yeah.
but like knowing that that's where we are is a good benchmark on like where our relationship is
Mhm. Yeah.
in the sense of like how we can support each other. And yeah, I mean, I think relationships without all this grief and loss are a lot of work,
Yeah.
and you have to be really intentional. And, I asked my aunt who's been with her husband, my uncle, since their high school days, like 100 years ago. And I was like, what's the secret? She's like, sometimes there's bad years, sometimes there's good years. I'm like,
Years?
years?
That's literally what I just thought. I was like, moments? Okay.
Years?
Years?
Well, and like it was years. Like Shane and I had a really rough
Oh,
5 years. We got married and we had a good year of marriage, and then he almost died and everyone else died, and like he got through it. And I think every relationship is different. We had a good foundation, and I don't know what the future has in store.
yeah.
And
No.
really all of this loss and almost loss and illness and like all this stuff, like it's really showed me like it helped me question my mortality, and
Mhm.
I'm really living my best life. And as long as I can live my best life and we can live our best life together and it's in harmony, because I don't want to have stress in my life. I want my nervous system to be relaxed
Yeah.
or flexible. Like I want to, like, it's been a stressful 39 years. I want the next part of my life, the rest of my life, to be chill.
I
And I
literally was
want
just gonna say, "You need to chill." Like, and I say that
and so like I
like,
just want to feel calm, and like I achieved it last summer, and I know what to do, and I'm doing it.
yeah.
And so
Mm,
so like yeah, I put a huge strain on our marriage. Like
yeah.
grief, I know a lot of people whose relationships most of them don't survive grief.
Yeah. Mine didn't until we got back together. Spoiler alert. But yeah, for a long time because communication was probably like one of the first things to go, which is funny because I had always prided myself on that and like knowing what I needed and wanted and things like that. But like especially losing 2 parents quickly and, like, him having basically never lost anybody close to him, like,
They don't get it. They don't like, it's hard when they
no,
don't get
and that's
it,
not
and
his
it's
fault,
also hard when they do get it.
but yeah. Oh, yeah, sure do. And, yeah, and so he didn't really know how to support me. I didn't even know how to communicate what I needed or wanted because I didn't even
Yeah.
understand the severity, like, I did, but not really. You get it. So, and I think a lot of people here listening are like, "Yes, I hear you."
I mean, I think, like, if you don't have a good foundation going into it, it's gonna be really hard to survive,
Yeah. Which is ironic because
and
we thought we did, but it's like, loss is nothing if not eye-opening and really puts things into perspective. Just put it that way.
well, it's like grief goggles, you know, beer goggles?
Oh
It's
god, yes.
grief goggles, right? It's just, like,
Yes.
the very much, like, the reality, like, this is real, you can no longer, like,
Yeah, there's no ignoring this right now. Like,
there's no
there's
ignoring.
no going through life blissfully unaware and just like all, that kind of happy-go-lucky went out the
Yeah,
window real quick, and it's sad.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's devastating in life that we're robbed of those things at any age. But
yeah.
just to kind of start wrapping up, you've already touched on the Global Resilience Project, but I wanted to just have you talk just a little bit more about the specific work that you do. So you're a grief and resilience coach, correct? Can you just talk to me a little bit about that? Like, so if people are like, grief coaching, I think, quote unquote, is becoming a little more mainstream. Like people are kind of understanding what it is versus just like traditional, counseling or therapy or whatever. But like,
Yeah,
talk to me about being like a grief and resilience coach because first of all, I love that so much. And like,
yeah,
who doesn't want a little extra resilience, right? But like, can you detail
right.
just a little bit, if somebody were to work with you or like, even speaking events that you do, like, what is it that you kind of dig into when doing that work?
Yeah. So I make it very clear I am not a therapist.
Mhm.
I'm not here to
Yeah.
diagnose. I'm kind of more of your griefy BFF,
Yeah.
and I help you way forward and help hold you
I
accountable
love that.
and giving you various tools for you to choose from to navigate your challenge.
Yeah.
And I created something called the Navigating Grief Framework, which is the framework that I use to help my clients navigate their challenges.
Mhm.
You know, grief isn't just the loss of a person. There's many different types of grief. And essentially, I like to not just be a grief coach or a resilience coach. I think they go hand in
Yeah.
hand. And I don't actually know anyone else that is a grief and resilience coach. I'm sure they're out there, but like I'm very clear, like,
Yeah.
I help people to strengthen their resilience muscle using neuroscience and like my TED talk. And when I do my keynotes, I talk about how to strengthen your resilience muscle using neuroscience. So using your
Mm.
brain to become more resilient
Yeah.
and the tools that we actually already have within. And so I integrate the neuroscience aspect with my navigating grief framework. And I work with clients in building out like a structured path forward.
I love that. And it's so tailored to their needs. And because we're all so different, right? Our brains all work so differently. But I love that you're bringing like the neuroscience into it. And actually, I talk about this book. I've probably talked about it multiple times on the podcast, The Grieving Brain by Dr. Mary Frances O'Connor. A great book. And for me, it really, I kind of was like past the point in my grief experience where I felt like I really needed to understand my grief on that level. I had sort of gotten there,
Mhm.
but it really did put things into perspective for me. And it's helped a lot of clients and grievers that I know as well, because a lot of the, in terms of making sense of things or not, or, wondering why we're hung up on a certain thing or just understanding how mind body connection plays such a role in our grief experience and how the healing experience looks and just being so patient and realistic with what is going on truly in our
Mhm.
mind and our body and just and all of it. And I think once we can have a bigger, better picture of that and understanding of it, we can have more compassion for ourselves. My God. I mean, between like the things that we self impose and then things that society or friends or family, like impose on us
Yep.
as well. I mean, it's exhausting. As if life is not exhausting enough. Like, go add grief on top of it. Like, my God. Or multiple layers of grief or major traumas all within a very short period of time, which you unfortunately know all about. So
Mhm.
that's beautiful work that you do. Um, and the very last thing, because and I have a little bit of personal experience with this with you and just getting to know you more over the last few months through our Get Griefy collective and this amazing group of people that all work in the grief and loss space in some capacity. Can you just quickly talk about Resilient AF and your books and all of those amazing things that you're putting together?
Yeah, so originally the book, I like the community was just a book. It's called the Global Resilience Project, and then I wanted to continue the series, and
Mhm.
the name dropped in, Resilient AF, Stories of
I love that
Resilience,
so
and
much.
so the second book, that's the name of the second book,
Yeah.
Resilient AF, Stories of Resilience. Then we launched Stories of Resilient AF, Stories of Resilience Volume
Mhm.
2. The books are all available on Amazon, and they're beautiful coffee table style
Yeah.
books that showcase stories of resilience from around the world. And we are currently working on two more books. So, Resilient AF Skin Deep Stories. And this is showcasing your tattoo and the stories of resilience behind your tattoo. And Resilient AF Stories of Resilience Volume 3. And so, as long as people want to keep telling their stories using our platforms, we're going to keep putting out books.
That's amazing. It's so beautiful that you're giving people that opportunity, and I think, it's very empowering to share our story, but can also be very scary for a lot of people. I have guests on the podcast that come on and they're just like, "This is my first time telling my story," or "I really haven't I've told people this, but not publicly." And like, that's a big
Mm.
deal. And I think there's something so powerful and so intense in a good way about, putting our pen to paper, so to speak, and putting our story down not only for us to read, but my God, thousands, millions, hopefully, around the world. Like it's cathartic and it's healing. Not that that journey ever really ends, but we can we can sure try. And
Right.
just the support that you are giving people around the world and empowering them to use their voice and to talk about grief for once. I finally feel like there's a long way to go in our communities and things and generational trauma and things to work out, but I think people are starting to get more comfortable and they want to be seen, they want to be heard and feel like they have people around them who understand them when so many in our own friend and family group just don't, right? Or haven't been
Well,
through the same losses as us. Like for me, I
you know what though?
yeah.
Grief is coming for you if you haven't had it yet. It's coming.
Not to fearmonger
Let's
here, but
prepare.
no one's
Well, you don't need to fear it. It's just gonna
we'll
come and
we'll
it's
do
gonna
it.
be terrible,
Yeah.
but there are things you can do now to prepare so when it comes, it's like a little less shitty.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's just one thing you can say to someone here listening today that is struggling with their grief, really just kind of in the thick of it, or just looking for a way to cope a
Mm.
little bit better, what would you say to that person right now?
You're not alone and you don't have to navigate this alone. Reach out to a support group, a therapist,
Mhm.
a coach, a friend. Let someone know that you're struggling and find a community or, professionals to help support you.
Mhm.
It's going to help you move through it faster. You don't have to stay in the pain that you're in.
Yes. Beautifully said. I'm clapping for those who can't see or hear that.
Yeah.
Uh, I could not have said that better myself. It's so true.
Amazing.
Community component is really underrated. I think a lot of us can go very inward when we're grieving. We feel like we're the only one who have ever been through a loss like this, and to an extent that's
Mhm,
true, right? No one's gonna experience our loss the way
mhm.
that we have. Even the same siblings losing the same parent, right? It's all different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that community component, it's more important, I think, than a lot of people realize. So thank you for saying that. Blair, thank you so much for your time today. If people want to connect with you, go follow you and get the books and potentially work with you and all the big, amazing, beautiful things, where can they find you?
So blairkaplan.ca, and the other website is theglobalresilienceproject.com. And if you want to connect on social media, Instagram's a good place. I am Blair from Blairland.
Amazing. I love that too, by the way. So like,
It's a nickname from a high school party.
I I am obsessed. I love that.
Yeah.
Blair, thank you so much for your time today. We packed a lot in here, but I'm so grateful for your openness and sharing your story and weaving some amazing tools and perspectives in there to help navigate grief and loss. And you're just amazing. I'm so impressed by everything you do. So thank you so much.
And thank you so much for having
You're
me. This is
welcome.
such an honor.
Of course. I am sending you a huge thank you for tuning into today's episode, my friend. Visit lossesbecomegains.com for my blog, more coping tools, ways to work with me, and so much more. And be sure you're following along on Instagram and Facebook at Losses Become Gains, and on Instagram and TikTok at Life with Grief Podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and share this episode or this podcast with someone who could use it too. And remember to always keep asking yourself, how will I turn my losses into gains today? I'll catch you in the next episode.